so good. You're so good. It's so. This is what Jugalbandi is. It looked upon as a no-no because, and understandably, because they thought that it doesn't have the adrenaline rush that a male-centric film does.
It was supposed to be a series.
Oh!
I'm sorry, I was going to speak for her that I think as an actor, she always had that thing.
Yeah.
The writers' strike going on in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Why? It's still looked upon as a no-no because, and understandably, because they thought that it doesn't have the adrenaline rush that a male-centric film does.
Hi, this is Bhavna and you're watching India Today. I'm very, very excited to be joined by the cast of 1920 Horrors of the Heart with me right here. The entire team is here with me. Of course, Anand Pandit is not here, but we have Avika, Krishna.
Krishna Bhatt here.
Yes, of course, but we have Krishna Bhatt here, sort of making a... I mean, she's making a debut
Somebody's representing.
with the film. So, of course, Barkha, and then who doesn't know him, Mahesh Bhatt sahab. So, firstly, a huge welcome to all of you. I'm very excited for many reasons. One is him returning to writing after such a long time. It's been long.
I have been writing, but writing with a sparkling young writing team of Sudhita and Shweta and Aman, the young people who are representative of the age today, and under the gaze of Krishna, was a very, very humbling experience because the elders need to know that the younger generation knows something more than the elders think that the younger people should know from you. So for me, it was a process of deconstruction, and I was so startled by the basic leap that they have taken in the field of audiovisual communication, which I had no idea about if I had not worked under their gaze and with the collective might of my writers team. I wouldn't have been able to pull it off.
You know, that's very humbling of you to also say, because you come with a experience which is unmatched in its own self, and I don't think a lot of directors or writers do that. The fact that you keep the young generation and their minds you give importance to that while you're moving ahead with times. I don't think a lot of people do that. So that is amazing. I have so many questions for you, but I have to first ask Krishna, what is it like, to choose horror as a genre to make your debut as a director in itself is such a huge task, because horror is a very difficult genre to pull off. What were the kind of challenges you did not perhaps ensue that there will be these kind of challenges that you'll face and you had to face, and how did you brace it on?
I think the way 1920 happened was quite interesting. It was supposed to be a series.
Oh!
And there was this one power-drunk entity who, kind of had an argument with me, and Mahesh uncle really pushed me to be my true self.
From a very reputed
Platform. Oh,
And
wow.
I told him that, you might be God in your head, but we'll take this somewhere else. And today we're releasing in Tamil, Telugu and Hindi on the silver screen. So I think what I thought was a major mishap at that time due to my need
impertinence.
Impertinence has actually ended up, and it was all well.
As a boon,
Yeah,
yes.
so I think the biggest challenge was, also post-COVID, films have been in a very precarious position with, OTTs. People are more comfortable, just putting their TVs on, instead of going to the theatre. It's no longer an outing.
Yeah, unless you offer them something which is worth spending the time on.
So the fact that we are getting such a good release is, so good. It was not imagined in my head. I didn't think that it would come to this, and I feel so good. And I think the challenge is that I think I was on a suicide mission. First I decided to become a director like my father, then I chose horror, then I chose 1920.
Yeah, it really does sound
I was like,
that.
let's make this very difficult for me. So
Only when you die you begin to live.
and I remember this one time I looked at Mahesh uncle and I was sitting in your room and I was like, really? And Mahesh uncle was like, keep quiet and do it. I remember that day. He said, just keep quiet and do what I tell you to do. And I just kept quiet and did what he told me to do. And I think he and Dad have been so supportive. They literally have been my two pillars of strength and made me believe in myself. They believed in me way more than I believed in myself.
But that happens with everyone, you know. Your family believes more in you than you yourself. So I think that is given, and you were under able hands. I mean, so I'm really looking forward to what it is going to be like. But you know, Avika, we have seen a. I mean, I have followed you actually from your television days, so I know I've
She
seen
was
that
a Barkha.
Yeah, I think who hasn't actually watched that, you know? So everyone has seen you grow over the years, in not just in terms of physical strength and everything else, but just your graph as an actor has been amazing. But this is the time that you're making your big, if I may say, Bollywood debut, because you've done enough films in South as well to come with a horror. But is it the first time? Correct me if I'm wrong. But this is also the first time you are also dabbling with horror as a genre, which comes with its own difficulty because he's written it, she's directing it, but it is up to you to convince us.
I've written it with the support of my
Yes.
writing team. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, I know, sir. I know.
Yeah.
But right now, I'm only talking to you, so I have to mention that.
Thank you.
But you know, I want to know what were the challenges that you had to face, or were there any process or a workshop that you had to go through to be able to pull this off?
I think, first of all, I received a call from Vikram Bhatt saying, "This is the film, this is the story, we want you, when are your dates available?"
Wow.
And I was in shock. I was surprised that a Vikram Bhatt
Yeah.
knows who I am and wants me in 1920. So that itself is a very big deal for me. So just to hear this whole project out from him on the first call itself, it was very exciting. I was very nervous, and I remember during the end of the call, he asked me, "Do you have any questions?" And I said, "Yeah, why
When do we
me?
start?
Why do you think I can do this?" And I had my doubts. So he said, "Because we all of us, our team thinks only you can." And that was a
Wow.
very big compliment for me. And since then, I did not really have to work hard on the process of, making this character authentic or making the story authentic. Because I remember whenever I read the scenes when I was on set, it just felt like it's happening with this character, and this is how this character would react.
Okay.
So it was just so easy for me to do that. And also, like I mentioned, that the trust that Vikram Bhatt had in me, it wasn't just him, but Krishna, Mahesh ji, and everybody on set, they just knew that this is Meghna. And I think when you see that kind of trust around you on the sets, I think that's enough. And I think that made my journey very easy.
Does it help that you have someone like a director who is as young as you, so that the energy sort of kind of matches? Because I was watching the out
I'm one.
in spirit, of
Yeah.
course,
Yeah.
but you know, I was watching their off-screen camaraderie as well, and I felt that it was amazing just before the interview started, and I felt that that sense of comfort that you both shared, it helps, especially when it is a genre like that. Did it, like, how was it like
Yes, of
on
course.
set?
There were shots when I remember she used to just say it in the mic that बहुत गंदा shot दिया. Just do what I asked you to do. And I think that sense of humor comes in when, you have somebody who would just say things straightforward, and it was very easy working
And yet
with her.
respect you. Yet respect
Yes,
you.
Yeah.
yes, of course. And there were times on the set when I packed up, but I still wanted to just be there, just be around her. And I remember I did not used to, go to my vanity van and, do the other stuff. I was just there with her at the monitor.
So much time laughing between crime shots. She would take the gliss, we would laugh. Then she would take the gliss, we would laugh.
Yeah.
So we spent so much time making fun of everybody and everything while we were making a very serious project. I think we became such good friends that it didn't feel like shooting. Every day it felt like we were going for a picnic.
I could sense that actually when you guys were even talking amongst yourselves. I mean, that is the testimony that this is going to be amazing. But Barkha, again, like Avika, I've seen your journey as well, because it started off with television, and then of course slowly and gradually you chose different projects and experimented at any given point of time. But when a project like this comes to you, what is it that you look for? What is there? Because I have not watched the film as yet, right? What is in it for you to offer, for you to say yes? Because I want to understand, where does this curiosity to experiment comes from?
Okay, so let me tell you, when it comes to Vikram Bhatt,
I have no option but to say yes. Okay.
She
It's
was
like
not
family.
asked, she was told.
Yeah, I was told that this is a film. We want you. I mean, not even we want you. You have to do it. It's like that. He will just talk to you. I have known Vikram for many, many
Yeah.
years. I have worked with Vikram and Krishna on a project. I have worked with Bhatsa on a project on television. So for me, it was coming back to family.
Yeah.
You know, this is like home ground for me. You know, it's like, okay, so when Vikram calls and says that I'm doing a film, and I'm like, okay, so I have to do it. So there was no thought behind it at all, honestly. You know, when you know there is Vikram on it, there's Bhatt sir on it, Krishna I have worked with before.
Yeah.
Bright, talented, young little girl. I have seen her grow. Like literally, I have known her since she was a
Yeah,
kid.
yeah.
So, and then there was 1920. You know, it is a brand on its own. So there was no way. Like I said, I had no option. I had
But
to
to
do
say
it.
yes, and I'm
I
so
had to.
glad
I'm
that
so
a
glad
talented
too.
team like this has
Yeah.
come together. But you know, Avika, recently I was actually in one of the interviews you mentioned, and very rightly so, that there were a few projects that you were being considered for before this happened. Aren't you just glad that this is your debut instead of the films
100%.
that you were supposed to be a part of?
100%. I
Because
am so happy. I'm so glad. Because if I was shooting for those films, I couldn't be, giving
Yeah.
my dates here. So I'm glad this happened. And, as a project, as an actor, this particular character is difficult. It's
Yeah.
not very easy. It's layered and there's so much to do. So I got this chance to perform and show
Yeah.
people what I'm capable of. So I think this is a very big opportunity for me.
And then she took us down south.
Yeah.
Thanks to her. I mean, to have.
it
know,
released in Tamil and
released in-
Telugu.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
it was it because of the
No,
fact
because
that
also a very brave distributor called from Lakshmi Dampati Productions. You know, their films, they had this leap of faith, and they thought that the movie would restrict its range by only being in the
Catering to
Hindi
the- yeah.
space, and the southern market would lap it up.
Yeah.
So in fact, I'm told, as before I stepped in front of the camera, that the buzz in
South.
in Hyderabad is phenomenal. And now this was something which was this is something, because we came from the COVID times, and to make a female centric film
yeah.
where the protagonist is a girl and a horror idiom, and post COVID where the cinema halls are going through the throes of
Yeah.
certain transition which seemed like a throes of death first. To have the privilege is thanks to her, thanks to the film, and thanks to a very brave distributor.
But that's actually wonderful. I mean, in today's time, what better? I mean, there's avenues for everything possible, right? But actually, I was also coming to the fact that, do you think now with this film as well, you are in a position to be able to pick and choose as per, as per what you can, like you are in a position to say no to certain projects as well. Do you think you've reached a stage now where
I
you
think
can
I've
do
always
that?
been
I
doing
was just
that.
going to say that. I'm sorry. I was going to speak for her that I think she,
I've always
as an
been
actor,
doing
she
that.
always had that thing.
Yeah,
We all do,
and
but yeah.
I've been very particular about the South projects that I've done. If you see any of my movies, my characters are either the most important ones in the film, or the story just revolves around them.
Correct.
So I choose thoda aisa dimag lगा के.
And thankfully the times are changing, because no more are the female characters being underwritten or just being used as a supporting prop.
And
I
that's why
mean,
you see a male sitting at the edge of the frame.
that was on purpose actually. That's
All women and Mahesh Bhatt.
but so when you are also writing with a bunch of writers that are supporting you, of course, I have to mention, because if I don't do, he will do it.
Well done on that.
But
Well
Because you know why? There's a writer's strike going
Yeah.
on in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Why?
Oh,
We
because
must
they're not
all
been given
ask
credit.
why. Because the due credit that is historically due to the writers
Yeah.
is not being given. And they have been quiet for too long. And I think that's a path-breaking
correct.
movement going on there. And I think that has to be respected. And we as filmmakers who have an hierarchy here, and we are very feudal in a way of thinking, we need to give that. If it's not on the page, it's not on the stage. That's why.
Do you think it will reach? I mean,
It
this
will.
is slightly
It has.
off the
It
subject.
will come.
but-
It will come, because you will not be able to keep the entertainment circus going on without the writer bleeding and churning his gut inside out day after day and giving you his priceless insights to make a formidable script on which you will
Correct.
make your dream project. You will have to do it.
But Mahesh Saab, does it bother you, or at least is it a cause of concern for you? Because in the past 5 years, at least, there has been a lot of conversation about the fact that there's been a dearth in terms of enough, maybe not enough opportunities are given to new writers or new ideas, or we are just circling around the same thing time and again. I mean, there has been a concern.
No, I think, to be fair, thanks to the streaming content, the doors have been opened up. The gatekeepers who kept the talent outside the portals of the movie industry or the television industry are now no longer the only gatekeepers. I mean, now there are others. But I personally feel that these are times, flourishing times, but the question is, do the writers get that living wage to thrive
Right.
in a first class city like this? The same question the Hollywood writers are asking, that they
Correct.
work for on the script for 3 years, 3 years, 2 years, 4 years. And apparently the money that they offer upfront is huge, but when it is split up over
Yeah.
4 years, they get very
Nothing,
little
almost
and they
nothing, yeah.
can't keep body and soul together. And somebody had to scream, and I'm very glad that the Actors Guild is backing them up. And I think the world is no longer a small little village. It's a one huge,
Yeah.
one family. So the sensibility of the dignity of the writers, which is being echoed from Hollywood, is going to reach here and is going to have an impact here.
I hope so too, because I mean, eventually that would be the first step towards a glorious change eventually in the industry.
Yeah, and the ladies are leading it. I must say
Yeah,
that today
itself as well.
with the women power, it's not just a patronizing slogan now. It's a reality that is. I mean, in my room when I was working, I was already outnumbered. I mean, there were 3 women and 2 men. I know me and Aman. So, but
Good change, I would say.
It's so nice to see them being so assertive, and I think that's how societies evolve.
I agree. I think slowly and steadily, and hopefully in few years from now, we will stop saying the word female-centric as well, because it won't be needed anymore.
Yeah, but it needs to
Hopefully.
be said in this country.
Right now it has to
in
be, yeah.
our industry, because a movie which has got the heroine as a protagonist
Yeah.
is still looked upon as a no-no, and understandably, because they thought that it doesn't have the adrenaline rush that a male-centric film
Yeah.
does. But when you have horror, and you have her, then you have both. You have sensation and depth.
Agreed. Krishna, I want to hear from you. What if you had to pick 2 qualities of in Avika and of course even in Barkha, which you really admire as a director as well? What would they be?
I think, stop it. Okay, that's so bad. I think one thing that is common in both Barkha and Avika is they're very strong emotionally. Even though they switch on and switch off, and they don't go and cry in a corner to be able to cry on screen. But when you tell, like there were scenes, as mother and daughter, when I would tell Avika and I would tell Barkha, I thought of it in a certain way. And then when I saw it on the monitor, it was something completely different. Even when you do watch the film, there are moments when Avika and Barkha both, they have something in them which they bring to the screen. Like whatever they are feeling internally, I think they compartmentalize it and keep it for when you say action.
Wow.
And then the minute you say action, suddenly you see a different version of the 2 of them that you wouldn't see normally. They've saved it for the camera. So that's there. And there's one thing about Avika which I love is she's very spontaneous. Like she doesn't think, okay, now I have to do this and now I have to do that. Like if you tell her you have to be angry, she will be angry. If
Wow.
you tell her, like she has this spontaneity which I think is very nice to work with. And about Barkha, I have seen her, as she said, as a child. And I used to see her and I feel like as she's watched me grow, I have also somewhere seen her grow from, I think she was, I think, very bubbly and, like, I don't know how to explain it. Like now, I'm not younger. No, it
You're
was
still young, come on.
she's still very young, but she had this very bubbly quality about her. And now, when you look at her, there's this huge emotional maturity that you see in her, which is so easy to work with. Especially when
She
you're
has the
making.
salt of life now.
Yeah,
She's tasted,
yeah. It's a taste of life has happened.
tasted sorrow.
So when I see and when I work with it, it's so lovely to see that she doesn't keep it, within herself.
Wow.
She brings it out with her.
But Barkha, is it difficult sometimes? I mean, only to take that forward, surrendering in front of the camera, especially when it comes to scenes involving heavy emotional, outlet, can be a little daunting as well for the actor, because you have to reach a place in your heart or maybe in your mind which really hurts to be able to do that, right? I believe sometimes the process can be very difficult. How do you approach it? Or it can be very easy for some people to reach that point. How do you approach it?
Honestly, I think I find it a little liberating because the people who are going to watch it don't know me personally. They're strangers. So I find it very liberating to express what I'm feeling to an audience who doesn't really know me. So they're not going to judge me, they're
Yeah.
not going to analyze me, they're just going to look at it as a performance while I get to vent
Yeah.
my emotions. So it works,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
me. I find it extremely liberating. So, yeah.
Yeah, I can really imagine. I mean, that's the best way to outlet also. I mean,
Yeah.
you
Thank
just
God I'm an
surrender
actor.
in front of the camera. But to you, Bhatt Saab, I've always seen since the beginning actually, you have always given, because this bunch of team you are sitting in front of me was not possible at one point, at least because, I mean, we have had this chat so many times with different people where new talents are not being recognized or at least given an opportunity, but you have done that since the beginning. I mean, you have given opportunities to newer talent every time you saw a chance. I'm sure at that time also you had people or naysayers who would perhaps recommend otherwise. How did you raise through that, and do you see things changing now in more assertive way?
Yeah, but I always had this ability to see the emotional quotient in an actor the moment he stepped in front of me, and or she stepped in front of me, and so I had no problem in trusting him or her totally. If you look at the movies of my 80s, like Arth and Saransh, Anupam was 28-year-old man, and today, this morning, I was talking to him that I was 33 years old, 34 years old. I made the defining document, which will be a part of our obituary, both our obituaries, because it's a film that, the Shabana, as she very fiercely articulates, that the entire body of work has been reduced to one film.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Rajkumar Bhattacharya of the Rajshri production, the late Rajkumar Bhatt, ultimately left me with the wisdom that he had sourced from his elders, his father, Sethji Tarachand Bhattacharya. He said, "Bhatt Saab, chalti to aakhirkar picture hi hai na." So we get a feeling of bogus security with stars, and you feel that they will see you like a magic carpet through turbulent times. No, actually, it is the writing, and it's what you pour into it. And with our team of actors who have that emotional depth and who can surrender, I think what these two ladies have is an extraordinary ability to surrender. And I think that's an innate wisdom and courage in women. To surrender is not easy.
Yeah.
And I think to be vulnerable in front of the camera and to just stand there raw, naked with your emotion requires nothing but a brave heart. And I think once you see that in an actor, you must support that actor. And so that's why that's what I have never hesitated to work with so-called new people. Because the human heart, we all cut from the same cloth.
Yeah,
right?
agreed.
What the newcomers perhaps lack is a few skills which they learn
Yeah,
over
but
time.
when people like
Yeah.
you give them opportunities as
Yeah,
well.
but like even I failed my way to success. You see, so you learn swimming by swimming. You learn acting by acting. I mean, this child, if she was not groomed by television
Yeah.
and by the Telugu industry, she wouldn't have the kind of flourish that she has today.
Agreed.
So for me, this is I would, if given a chance between a star and a talented unknown person who has this unquenchable thirst, I would put all my money on that the unknown character.
And you've done that previously as
Yeah,
well.
and I've worked.
Yeah.
It
And
will work. It will work for me.
and they have gone on to become big stars. And
Yeah.
Avika, you're already a star. Barkha, you're already a star. But it's just that I think it's just going to grow by manifolds, like, in the coming years. We miss you with direction as well.
Well,
You have to tell us when do you. I mean, the last one, of course, was special.
You see, I'll tell you what. I remember telling this to my child Alia. There's something called an extinct volcano. And you see, when beauty fades, the world sees it. Quote unquote. When talent fades, you know it, the world doesn't see it. Every singer has his term, he sings a song, and he should gracefully make way for others to sing the song, right? And it's a privilege to sit down with these younger people and learn from them
Right.
and teach them a few tricks that you have appropriated. That's the role. As you get older, you have different roles to play. You can't be standing with kids in the candy shop fighting, for the goodies that they're fighting for,
Yeah.
So I keep on saying that people get, yeah, इस मुल्क में नहीं दुनिया भर में लोग बूढ़े हो जाते हैं, बड़े नहीं होते. So to be an elder requires the wisdom that age kind of finally drills into you. That you have had your belly full. Now the stage belongs rightly to the younger people. And because they are a hand of life looking ahead, and they are far superior, they are far emotionally richer than you are. And they are talking to in the language of the world
Correct.
that you are. And even the sun gets eclipsed. So I think I'm enjoying doing this. And nothing nourishes me more than seeing something that I have touched soaring high. And that is perhaps what an old gardener feels when he sees a new flower bloom in his backyard.
Listen, you're so good with words. Like I can just
Yeah.
keep listening to you. I saw you directing Sadak too, which was one of the most ambitious project. But
Well,
do you think that was a time when you actually realized that maybe it's time to pave way for others to
No,
take
so
over?
that is a disaster which was engineered by forces out of my control. However, I hung my boots in '98 with Zakham, right? So 20 years later, I think I returned and I enjoyed every moment. Even if I'm the solitary man on this planet, I loved the process. And he left me very rich in every way. When I was battered to pulp, I got richer. When my pockets were full with money, I got richer. So it was a very enriching experience. But it's not, I have never feared failure and given up things.
Yeah.
If you look at the filmography of the greats, there was a Mehboob Khan.
Yeah.
His last film there was a V. Shantaram. There was a Guru Dutt.
Yeah.
So the so-called greats are human beings. They're not made of special stuff.
Yeah.
And any filmmaker who deludes himself that he's only going to have hits is kidding himself. So I would say that this is a game for the brave, and you should be able to take the punishment and the belittling failures in the same spirit as you go and embrace your success. And that's what makes you humbly accept a position that there is a generation now which has been birthed by life, which has got the arsenal to take the entertainment industry ahead.
you're so graceful when you're even answering and just telling all this that I'm just like, I'm left speechless at this point. All I can say is that we look forward to anything and everything that you do, because there's always
at them
something
then.
to take away from. And I'm coming to them, and
Yeah.
I feel that this younger lot has so much more to give. I mean, it starts with this horror film, of course, where you're already planning to scare me really. But I'm also looking forward to more projects from you, which, and because I feel that this is the most exciting time where you get to experiment so much, really dabble with different kind of genres and show the true potential. So amazing, really looking forward to 1920, and hopefully this is the team which will reunite again for something more special. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're so good. You're so good. You listen to the answers.
I
And you
have
ask
to.
questions from the answers we give. This is what Jugalbandi is.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say. I'm just so humbled at
I was so moved to see you being so engaged with every silence that was there.
Thank you so
Very
much.
difficult.